Let's explore the fundamentals, especially from a media and communication perspective, to provide a context for social media. In the early to mid-2000s, social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter facilitated a cultural shift in the way users documented everyday life through digital technology. Users were turning to social media to be politically subversive, geek out with peers by contributing to socio-cultural fashions such as niche video production or meme creations. And some users were conducting emerging forms of business, or e-commerce as it was known. Social media was being used across a full gamut of activities at an unprecedented scale. Consider this breakdown of demographics of American users on social media. The first thing to note is the extraordinarily high daily consumption patterns of users across the board. Social media are not just drop-in communicative technology. They are a communication staple for many users. These top 5 are consistently the most accessed social media sites, and it's unlikely they will shift in coming years. In the contemporary communication environment, social media is entrenched in the lives of everyone, not just public figures. To unpack this, we might start by asking, what's so social about social media? Aren't all media social? Media are part of society, which makes them all social as a communication fabric. The scholar Christian Fuchs provides an interesting overview into why social media are considered more social than media generally. Fuchs suggests we can approach communication through 4 areas: information and cognition, communication, community, and collaboration and cooperative work. Social media enables us to both produce and consume information. We generate and work with a much broader knowledge base than we did in the past. Wikipedia, for example, is the first global network-generated database of human knowledge. In this space, experts from around the world are contributing to very niche areas of knowledge, which is freely available. The total effect is that we individuals have access to a broad range of very specific knowledge. Communication is a two-way process. The sending and receiving of messages constructed through a series of texts and symbols. Social media has enabled us to communicate synchronously and asynchronously with no regard for space or time. So this means we can communicate with anyone, anywhere, immediately, or in a catch-up style. At the core of social media is the notion of community, which can be defined as a group of like-minded individuals interacting for a common goal or purpose. Community existed well before social media. However, social media has strengthened connections, allowing geographically distant groups to communicate more readily and helping individuals with niche interests to find each other. Social media has made it easier to collaborate and cooperate with others. For example, users are not only connecting around specialized topics, they can contribute to their area of specialized interest or expertise at greater levels than ever before. But social media didn't suddenly appear and enable these increased social activities. It is built upon a connected and hypertextual network called the World Wide Web. In this instance, hypertext relates to texts that are connected to each other across the internet, like a Google Doc or a series of emails, for example. The social media experiences that we are most familiar with today, however, are often attributed to the moment referred to as Web 2.0. Tim O'Reilly is often quoted as the person who coined the term Web 2.0. We can think of Web 2.0 not so much as a technology, but as a moment of realization where World Wide Web users embrace the many-to-many communication model. The internet had previously been used, in the commercial sense at least, as yet another form of broadcast, that is, one-to-many. If we learned anything at the dawning of Web 2.0, it was that users wanted to communicate in a conversation by providing their own data sources, remixing others, and improving the overall user experience, for example. Others might argue that this is exactly why Tim Berners-Lee built the World Wide Web on the internet infrastructure. It was his dream that the World Wide Web would be an architectural feat for participation that enabled users to connect, share, and participate with each other. It's useful then to understand how Web 2.0 came about as a transition from Web 1.0 towards social media. It was a moment in technology that signified when consumers became producers of content, or at least the beginning of the blurring of those once distinct roles. Until Web 2.0, the internet had been thought of as another broadcasting platform that could sell messages to consumers. As investors began contributing significant amounts of money to the internet as a broadcast model, many e-businesses were born. The traditional advertising model the internet attempted to imitate failed, and when investors were not receiving any return for their investment, they started to run from the World Wide Web en masse. This is referred to as the bursting of the dot-com bubble, and what is significant about this is that it shifted both producers and consumers on the internet from one-way conversations to an interactive two-way conversation. Users were more interested in the collaborative conversations that would emerge rather than being sold products. Technology was also dramatically decreasing in size and cost, making content production a reality for those considered amateurs at the time. In this moment, the connected, shareable, and collaborative vision Berners-Lee had for the internet became achievable to those in many parts of the world. So what are some of the characteristics of Web 2.0 that you observe within social media today? You may have noticed how some brands and commercial identities have camouflaged themselves as social media platforms. Some of them are obvious, but others are not. What is common across many of these platforms is their ability to embody the 4 social media criteria as highlighted by Fuchs. Users are typically attracted through the sharing of knowledge or community building possibility, yet often those social media platforms will inevitably direct the user towards a commercial product. This is becoming increasingly common amongst many social media platforms. The scholar Geert Lovink takes a critical stance and questions what is actually social about social media when users become storable and sortable by large digital intermediaries such as Facebook and Google. This highlights the tension that is ever present between using social media and being used. Is social media offering increased empowerment, for example, to participate in government, or are we connected so that corporations can sell goods and services to us? This tension is something that we will return to many times during this social media MOOC.